Hello, everyone. My name is Kelly Covert, and I'm bringing you another Symphoria Community Spotlight. And today I have Ocesa Keaton, who is the Executive Director of Greater Syracuse HOPE. Welcome, Ocesa. I'm so glad to have you here.
Hi, Kelly. Thank you so much for asking me to participate in your show.
Oh my gosh. Oh, my show. Yeah, it is a show, and you're welcome. And I am really excited to introduce our Symphoria supporters who don't know about Greater Syracuse HOPE to your organization. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about what you do in our community?
So, Greater Syracuse HOPE is a New York State designated anti-poverty initiative, and we are actually one in 16 communities across New York State that is considered SYRACUSE. And we're part of a bigger coalition that Governor Andrew Cuomo started to address poverty in several pockets throughout the region, Syracuse being one of them. Unfortunately, Syracuse has the distinction of being number one for concentrated poverty amongst African Americans and Latinos. And so Greater Syracuse HOPE tackles that on two fronts. First, we use data to drive programs and strategic interventions. And we also use data to analyze systems and how policies either knowingly or unknowingly create the condition of concentrated poverty.
So the work you're doing is really, the hope is to elevate as many people out of poverty as we can. Am I correct in that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that is important work, and it makes what we do at Symphoria feel not quite as important as what you're doing. Like, this is the heavy lifting that you are doing here, and so we're so excited as an organization just to be able to support you in that, because everyone in Central New York deserves to have a life where they don't have to struggle.
Absolutely. And I just want to say that, we all have to participate in turning the corner on this high concentrated poverty issue that we have in our city. So, you guys are doing your part at Symphoria by giving people a way out as far as music. Music from a therapeutic standpoint is very soothing and very helpful to individuals, sometimes just for a mode of escape. I'm also a licensed master social worker. So music therapy is very much a thing. So you guys are doing your part, and I thank you.
Well, and I think one thing that we have a new initiative that we have is our Symphoria Unlimited subscription, which is a Netflix style subscription. You pay monthly, and then you have access to all of our concerts with that monthly subscription. But for every person who buys a Symphoria Unlimited subscription, a Symphoria Unlimited subscription is given to someone who would not be able to afford that. So when our supporters and our concert goers are buying these tickets and these subscriptions, you're actually enabling the power of music to be able to lift the people who might not be able to come otherwise. And so that's something that we're really excited about doing as well. Part of our mission is to engage and inspire through music, through our performances. I'm curious to know how Greater Syracuse HOPE engages and inspires.
Well, I guess the predominant way that we engage is definitely by hosting forums and informational sessions to make sure that the community knows what's going on. A lot of times you will hear that people feel locked out, especially dealing with decisions that are going to impact their everyday life. So what I've done through my work through HOPE is to make sure that those forums are based on the interest on what the community has said they wanted to know. So pre-COVID, I was able to host a forum about early voting when it first launched during our last election cycle. And I did 2 different forums on that let people know where they could go vote, the importance of early voting, how it came about. I co-hosted a informational forum with Night Clue around I-81. And what was cool about that, we went right to the neighborhood of impact. So we had it at Wilson Park and their Wilson Community Center, and just a host of other activities that really deals in outreach. Now, since COVID, I've had to really sit back and reimagine what engagement looks like for me and the people who have come to rely on Greater Syracuse HOPE to provide them with information. So I'm in the process of putting together a town hall about just different issues that have come up or actually been illuminated because of COVID, because we know a lot of these issues have been here underneath the surface, and COVID has made it come out on top of the surface.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that the challenges are so great, especially when you're used to gathering in person for these things. So how can our supporters support Greater Syracuse HOPE? How can we learn more about the role that we can play in bringing awareness, and also in sort of that, if I wanted to do something, what could I do to be a part of what your mission is?
So one of the things that I always tell people is to vote, but not just vote, but be an informed voter. If you like our Facebook page, which is just Greater Syracuse HOPE at Facebook, you can find out and follow us. We are always putting information out that way about different things on a local, regional, and national level that I think people should be aware of, especially with this November election coming up. It's super important. Also, our website, which is www.greatersyracusehop.org. But on a more granular level, how you can be supportive is I currently am a one-woman orchestra. And so if anyone had any volunteer time to help me think through engagement strategies, or just contacting people and getting the word out about certain things, that would be greatly appreciated at this point in time. Because it is a heavy lift when you do have to kind of depend on volunteers and you don't have a full staff, but we make it work. My assistant got accepted to graduate school, so she's getting her PhD. And so
wow.
I'm very proud of her. Yeah, I'm very proud of her. And has agreed to help out part-time, but as you can imagine, she's extremely busy. So
yeah,
to volunteer, that would be great.
So you heard it here, all of you who have some extra time on your hands. OSHA's always looking for extra help. And I think what I hear you saying is that part of that can be creative solutions for how to have these kinds of forums without having lots of people gather, how to get the word out to everyone about policies, because that's a big part of what I'm understanding that Greater Syracuse HOPE does too, is examine policies and how they're affecting people who live in poverty and how we can change that. Am I right in that?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
So
policies impact people every day.
Yeah, and as I learn more and more about the kind of work that you're doing, and also just how to be an ally for people of color, I'm learning more and more about the policies. That's really where the change happens. And it makes me excited to know that there's an organization like this in Syracuse that's doing this work and that's leading the way, because I want to educate myself about how to make a difference, how I can make a difference too. And I'm sure that many people who are watching feel that same way.
Yeah.
So if you could just say one last thing, if you would want one person to know what they could share about what you're doing, what would that be?
So HOPE is driven by three ideals, if you will: people, policy, and perception. And so what I would say to that is that change the perception of people who are experiencing poverty. A lot of times people think that it's self-inflicted, or they make it a morality issue, when in fact it's a set of circumstances that oftentimes is outside of the person's control. And that's where policy comes into play. Understanding, just like you said, how policies impact not just the individual that's in front of you, but generations prior to that individual and generations that will come after that that individual has had their lifetime. And so you see that play out right here in Syracuse, for instance, with redlining. And if you ever have a chance to look at an old map that shows like the redlining districts, those are still the same neighborhoods that are experiencing poverty, high pockets of poverty. So these policies have lasting effects. So that's it in a nutshell, just changing the perception of people who are experiencing poverty, and also becoming more aware of policies and how they drive, the conditions of poverty.
Mm-hmm. Well, I find your work so important, and I thank you for being here to share this with us, because I know that we have an amazing base of supporters who are passionate about helping the people of our community, just like Symphoria is passionate about that too. And we're excited to be in partnership with you today and supporting the work that you do. So thank you so much, OSHA. And for all of you who are watching, you can learn more by going to their website, and I'll have a link in the post. And also be sure to follow Greater Syracuse HOPE Facebook page, because that's where you can find all of the breaking news, as it were, and learn more about how you can support OSHA's work at Greater Syracuse HOPE. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful week, OSHA.
You too, Kelly.